Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another segment of Asaph Cafe. I am your host, Asaph Adonai, and affectionately on my left, our aging rocker, Emmett. And this time we are under a phaser, Star Trek phaser, the original phaser gun from the Star Trek television series. And we're going to have fun talking about phasers and lasers.
Oh, yes, wonderful.
All that other stuff. You want to start us off, Emmett?
Heavenly Father, again, bless our secret ingredient and set up and our time together in Jesus' name.
Thank you. And so we got to do Star Trek here.
Is it fascinating? Royale! Finally talking about something I love, because I've always loved, folks, lasers and Space Wars. You people know that if you've seen my show, Novel Truth About Society. Sometimes I would take something that looked like a laser gun around here and go, do, 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 do. I would. And I've done that all through school. Even my power watch was from my home planet Avon, Avon Cosmetics. Did I tell you I used to pretend when I was a child or in high school?
I think you mentioned it slightly.
When I was in high school, junior high, I used to pretend, even elementary, I pretended I was from another planet called Avon. We sold Avon Cosmetics.
Really?
So remember Avon Cosmetics, that pyramid type of thing so you can make money? So if it was Avon calling, it was from my home planet, folks.
I see.
Isn't that fascinating? But then I changed it to Avion, but changed it back. The reason I changed it back was because of a Super Friends episode.
Oh, really?
I was so embarrassed. I was horrified when I heard this. See, Super Friends was on another planet, Challenge of the Super Friends, and there were some bird people from the planet Avion.
I'll play that for you.
And I said, uh-oh, I better change this back right now.
Okay.
But why did we change it back? Because the planet of Avion was in conflict, there was two planets who were fighting for the same name over a trademark. The alien bird planet people from the planet Avion, which the Superman saw, and ours, which we were pure energy, pure thought by now. We were such a high degree.
Here's a super friend.
So finally we won, but we decided to change it back to Avon and continue to be Avon salesmen. I'm not joking, folks. This is a true story. I am not making this up.
Okay.
Well, at first I was sent to prevent nuclear war. Kind of like Tom Severman over on Star Trek, the original, when he was trying to stop nuclear war. Do you remember that?
On Star Trek?
Yeah, they met an alien. Yeah, the original. They went back in time for some reason to the 20th century, and some alien who had a cat with him.
Oh, that's
was trying to prevent a nuclear war. Yeah,
Gary 7 was his name.
Yes.
And his mission was to keep the that nuclear missile from hitting the Earth.
Right.
It triggered off World War III. He had to blow it up 100 miles.
Right.
Earth. That was that episode.
My mission was kind of similar.
Yeah, and Captain Kirk, it was meant for them to be part of that. But Captain Kirk did not know that, being from the future.
Yes.
Because even in the future, Gary 7's world was hidden from even Captain Kirk's world.
Right.
And so that's why Captain Kirk was so suspicious of Gary 7 with the cat. Because from his point of view, he could have been a spy from the future sent back to offset everything when he was actually trying to help. That was a really interesting episode.
It was. So anyway, thing is, we were such a technological race. The planet Avon. We had space battles. We were just outside our solar system. You might have even called it the 11th planet that people have been. But anyway, I was sent. But then, after that. Before that, I think it was just to study Earth, then to prevent a nuclear war, then I don't even know why I hang around. But I told everyone in high school, like in Lewiston, they asked me, where are you from? And I would say, I'm from the planet Avion! I'm from the planet! I would tell everyone all these stories. And they would even ask, well, if you're an energy being, why do you have hands here? Why do you eat here? And I said, because I'm in my human form.
Oh, yeah. Now, what grade were you in when you were doing that?
I was in 10th grade. I was 8th and 10th grade. 8th, 9th, and 10th grade.
That, I see this phaser gun on this set. I actually had a toy phaser gun my parents bought me when I was in junior high school.
Yep.
You know how they used to wear the phasers on the side on the Star Trek series?
Yes.
I actually had my phaser on my side.
Cool.
and this is a true story. I used to go to class with my phaser gun when I was in junior high, and I'd walk the hallway. This is way before music.
Oh, yes.
And I thought it was cool. In fact, there were a lot of kids that had phaser guns, but I was cool because I would bring mine to school. And I used my imagination and fire it off and stuff.
We would have had a lot of fun together.
Yeah, I did that when I was in 7th grade. As a 7th grader, I had a phaser gun that I actually carried to class and throughout the halls. Throughout my school. That actually happened when I was in 7th grade, junior high.
I finally stopped telling everyone I was from Avion when I got to Missoula, not because of any teachers or anything, but thing is, all the kids asked the stupidest questions. One, why do you have hands here on Earth if you don't, and they couldn't understand it, and they were asking a lot of sexual questions, what is sex like up on Avion? It's like, forget it, I don't even want to talk.
Well, then you got to remember, when they're older, that's going to happen. If you'd have done that like in junior high school, that most likely would not have happened.
It was both junior high and high school. I just kind of got tired of it.
And I know in junior high it probably didn't happen as much.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, exactly.
It started happening more as you got older. High school. And that's normal. And I think they were being wise guys, probably.
Oh, they were very wise guys, very wise guys.
But I can understand when you're older, that's going to happen.
Yeah.
But I had a lot of fun.
Oh, I did too.
In junior high school when I did that.
But
it was cool.
Everyone in Sentinel from 1984 through 86, or at least 84 to 85, can attest to this.
Right.
Because I started my school year here in 1984, Sentinel High in 11th grade. Do you remember fire drills?
Yes, I do.
Wait, which is yours? Is this yours?
This is mine.
Okay, that's yours.
Yes, that's mine. I'm certain of it.
Well, anyway, what I would do during fire drills, it sounded like a red alert.
Yeah, we used to have those fire drills. We had to stand in front of the school and practice.
So when I would say, we're under attack by aliens. So when we stood in front of the school, I would always go, I must destroy the aliens with my power watch. Right in front of the whole student body, folks. In front of the entire student body, I would go, destroy the aliens, in front of the whole student body. There were just these, my friend told me that just this ever-widening row of students or circle of students that were backing away. It was the funniest thing. I always got in trouble with that. It was always in special ed.
It probably made you popular in a small way when you were younger.
Oh, yeah.
Doing that too,
Yeah. So I was in 11th grade. Thing is, my power watch, or my power gloves also. First, my power gloves. I would use my power gloves for the same thing, at those assemblies, not the assemblies, but fire drills. At the fire drills, if it was really cold, I would use my power gloves. Even in Lewiston High School, the power gloves. Both the power gloves and the power watch. Because, my gloves sometimes look kind of futuristic.
So
how
you
the
had
fancy
a pair
stuff.
of actual gloves on for the character you were portraying, right?
Well, not even a really special glove. They were just the mittens to keep warm.
Oh, I see. Okay.
They were just my regular gloves I got at the store to keep warm during the wintertime. But they had fancy designs on them anyway. They were,
okay.
How you've seen gloves that are very thick. And I would pretend they were power gloves. Or my power watch, because it's a digital watch. And I pretended it was from my home planet Avon, of course now Avon, but it had all these incredible functions. I was nearly indestructible. One, it could just be a regular laser, or a stun ray, and I always had a shield on. Could have a shield on so I could deflect lasers, or I could have blinding light, or blinding deafening sound, or I could fly through the air. And incredible death rays and lasers, and even lasers to destroy spacecraft and spacecraft. Now, if I took off my power watch, I needed a spacecraft, I could set it on the ground, and become this giant spacecraft, and I could set it and fly through the air. Then when I got out, it would become a watch again, or gloves again. And I could make myself larger or smaller.
Use your death mark.
Yep. Or anything else larger or smaller. And that kind of thing. I even had the power to destroy entire planets or entire space fleets. The power. I could fly through space. I couldn't travel through time. That was my power ring. But I got a mask on. But anyway, I had all these incredible powers. I could make myself larger or smaller, or make anything larger or smaller, or I could teleport through different things. Teleport anything to different things, raise things off the ground. And if any aliens were attacking from another dimension, I could throw the Power Watch gloves into the air, and spin around, destroy all the aliens from another dimension. But my Power Watch was so powerful, it could only be worn by my body chemistry. If someone else tried to put this on and use it, the power would destroy. It would cause this explosion to destroy the entire universe and all 500 billion galaxies.
I'm playing the theme to The Incredible Hulk. Did you like that show?
No, I never did. Not my kind of thing. But that was my Power Watch. Isn't that fascinating?
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
I love this imagination. And I would tell everyone about my Power Watch and my Power Gloves. One kid said when he was with a bunch of other people, said, I think it was in Lewiston, he said, he's better than a fight. About me.
Oh, okay.
After I told him about my Power Gloves and my Power Watch, in other words, I was more entertaining than a fight.
Oh, I get it. Okay, I was trying to make
He's better than a fight. He's more entertaining than a fight. You know how people would watch fights and crowd around to watch fights in high school?
Right.
I was more entertaining to them than a fight.
Wow.
I thought that was funny. He's better than a fight. Because I would tell all the kids about
I
my
guess I never heard that put that way before.
Yeah, well, he did. But anyway, the kids thought I was crazy or on drugs. I wasn't really popular. They thought I was mentally ill or on drugs. I didn't care. Or schizophrenic. I didn't care. They all thought, what kind of good drugs are you on, Emmett? Don't give me that. You're on something. I mean, they didn't like me very much. I didn't care.
Well, you know, on a more serious note, high school was difficult for me too.
Oh, it was.
So you're not alone. And I think I've said this before, that if it were left up to me, there would be no high school.
Same here. Amen.
Homeschool your kids, but that's for another topic. But yeah, high school was very difficult. I can't even imagine what high school would be like in 2019.
Very bad.
You know, if
terrible.
you think about it. I don't have any children. I probably never will, but I would be very concerned if I had children going to school in 2019.
Same
the
here.
way the world is today. I would.
Oh, same here. I would homeschool my kids or put them in Catholic school. One of the two. But yeah.
Yeah, and almost 20 minutes have already gone by already. Isn't that amazing?
But yeah, and it's even worse, you know, because of all the teachers and all the rules they have that they didn't have before.
Yeah.
I don't want this to sound like another awful truth about society.
No, I understand it, but no, I have a big concern too. It was tough enough when I was in high school.
Yeah, exactly. And I graduated in 1986.
I can't imagine what it would be like now.
It's even worse now with all the rules say you can't embrace your close friends and all the other political stuff and the politically correct stuff. I couldn't handle it. I'm glad I was born when I did and graduated. I wouldn't have graduated with all the rules that the teachers have. And and just on and on. It's just horrible because I love my friends. My friends and I would always wrestle around with each other, even in Jennifer Junior High in Lewiston. And
I don't think you could do that today. I don't think you could.
Isn't that horrible?
Like that
That's horrible. And teachers back then left you alone, but because I had very close friends and we'd and all the other kids thought we were gay. They would ask, what are you guys doing? Are you guys gay? No, we just love each other. It's like, oh my.
Yeah, but you know, this political correct world.
It's horrible.
It's just something. Ever since that's come out,
it's just horrible.
Changed. It's like walking on a tightrope.
It is. It's horrible. Yes, it's horrible. Mm-hmm. It's just horrible, and I just can't believe what's going on. But yeah, I'm glad I graduated when I did, and did not go through school in the '90s or it's just too terrible. I can't
imagine how difficult that would be, especially in the 2000s now.
Yeah, it's horrible. I mean, it's just so horrible.
Can you believe 2020 is almost here?
Yeah, it's incredible.
Wow, that's amazing. They used to have a famous news program called 2020. Did you ever watch it?
I think occasionally.
It was pretty good.
Interesting,
It was pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
It was called 2020. And here it's almost the year 2020. That sounds so futuristic, you know, if you think about it.
Of course, in the lunch line, I would always sing about the washing machine. I want to live in a washing machine. That's all I want to do. And then all the kids would ask, sing your washing machine song. I haven't heard it. So I'd have to sing over and over again. Or I want to splash in a coffee cup and live in a washing machine. They thought I was mentally ill. I didn't care. I don't like their conformity.
Look at the backside.
Yep.
For these cafe shows, that time we did the laundromat, that was for you, and now
I love that. Yeah.
phaser for you here.
Thing is, they were so conformist in school. All they cared about, and I have always hated conformity or conforming to social rules.
Well,
as a
I
punk
think
rocker,
some
ex-punk
people-
rocker.
Yeah, some people have a tough time with that, depending on what the rules are.
Oh,
You know
yeah.
what I mean? As far as conforming. Now, something moral I can see.
Yeah, same here, like in Catholic school.
We're
I can
not talking
understand
the moral stuff. We're talking certain things like you're cutting your hair, maybe behind your ears or something. I
Oh,
don't
yeah,
know,
stupid.
you know.
Yeah, that
Those
too.
kind of things, yeah. So, or you have to wear a certain look.
Yeah, I always hated those rules too. Just anything
I don't know who makes those rules, but that's just
conformist by the kids. It's just sickening, yeah. And I found a lot of the kids boring. It's just like, I don't want to hang out with these people. I made very few friends. The friends I did make, one of them, who lives still in Idaho, is still one of my best friends to this day. He would pretend to be from another planet too. And another friend of mine would pretend to be from another planet too. Someone I made friends with in summer camp and Camp Adventure when I was 12 and he was 9, he pretended to be from another planet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, absolutely. It was actually a very common fantasy among children to pretend they were from other planets.
Time period, because didn't they have a lot of science fiction
They did.
shows in that?
Star Wars, Star Trek. Oh, yeah, they did. Yeah. So that was very common.
Yeah. And Space Odyssey and all the rest of those. The Space 1999, all of them. You know,
So we even, my friend and I would call up when we talked on the phone or talk at school what we were doing on our home planets. His home planet, mine was very technological, so we were energy beings, but his was a combination of like science fiction lasers, but also heroic fantasy, where he had more of a medieval structure with the Middle Ages.
Okay.
He had to be with the Middle Ages, and there were elves and dwarves, that kind of thing. And it was
Right.
very fascinating.
Right.
And he even wanted at one time to marry a queen, because he was an elvish queen, because he was going to be king. I mean, that kind of thing, we really talked about it. Very seriously, with other planets and the whole thing. One of my other friends moved his entire solar system to another part of the galaxy. It was really fascinating, a lot of fun to talk about. How's your planet doing? Or what planet do you come from? What's going on your planet? And we would talk about this like we were talking about, a business deal or going to the store and getting a new job. It was very fascinating.
This is the perfect song to play in slow motion while we're talking about this.
Yep.
Flight of the Bumblebee.
Yeah. Now my friend and I, we don't talk about our home planets anymore. We kind of outgrew that. We talk about our health issues when we talk
Well, I
about
understand that, but you can still use your imagination.
Oh,
to
yeah.
have fun with that and so on. So that's pretty cool.
And I still do,
Well,
really.
I'm glad you like this backdrop of just the cafe on a set of a phaser.
Oh, I love it.
And this is the Star Trek original
Yep.
phaser gun. And
Yep.
I think William Shatner would be very happy if you were watching.
Oh, yeah. Is he still alive or not?
Yeah, he's still.
Oh, I did not know that.
Oh, he's well into his late 80s, I believe now. William, I think
Well,
like 86, 87.
If he's ever watching the cafe, hi, William Shatner. I didn't even know you're still alive. Oh, yeah, maybe I'll see this one day.
Yeah, well, this is cool because it's just so different.
Yeah.
In the 4 years I've been doing this show, this is probably the most different backdrop
Oh, it is.
that we've ever done, and so I wanted to do this mostly for you.
Wonderful.
And yeah, we're behind a set of a phaser.
Yep, I love it.
Yeah, it's just cool. It's different.
Yeah, it is. For some reason,
Yeah.
I don't care for the new phasers that they had on Star Trek: The Next Generation too much, and they didn't even vaporize a person. They
Well,
just killed him, and it just doesn't make any sense.
Part of it has to do with upgrading, and I can understand that, and stuff like that. But yeah, nothing like old school, the old phaser,
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Yep.
But and that's just a perfect looking.
It is.
laser
It
gun.
is beautiful.
Think about it, the
Really is.
design for a laser gun.
Yeah.
Gene Roddenberry sure had quite an imagination,
Oh, yeah.
didn't he? Now he's gone,
Yeah. They had even a phaser rifle.
Yeah, I remember the original phaser rifle.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember that.
And they even had a smaller phaser that was more almost like something just in the palm of your hand that would go bzzz, bzzz.
Do you have a favorite Star Trek episode? I'm talking about the original Star Trek episode.
Yeah, we've talked about this, the Doomsday Machine.
That's right. And I have some other episodes that I really like when we were talking about Gary Seven with his cat.
Oh, yeah.
That was like James Bondish to me.
I loved it.
That episode. That whole plot
Yes.
line,
Yes.
World War III almost started on that episode.
Yeah. I also liked a mock. Let's see.
Mock Time?
Yes.
That's the one where Spock's mating ritual?
Yes, that was very good.
I was just watching that episode. On Netflix, they have the entire
series. Oh, yeah.
When you stay over, we can watch.
Yeah.
I'll have it planned where we'll be spending a night of science fiction, because on Netflix, it has the entire series, and it automatically goes from one episode
Wonderful,
to another.
yeah.
You just put it on the computer and get out of the way. I don't have to adjust anything. I just push play, and it just starts from the very beginning, episode after episode.
Yeah. That was a very good one. That Mock Time.
Yeah. That was interesting to me in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is, see, Spock was betrothed to the Vulcan girl when he was a kid.
Yes, to Pring, I think it was her name.
Yeah, but I looked her up. We'll get to her in a moment. But as a kid, Spock as a child. Yeah. So when that time came that he was supposed to go back to Vulcan to marry this girl, she had another interest, Stan. Remember Stan?
Yeah, Stan, yeah.
And she planned that fight with Captain Kirk, because she didn't want to marry Spock.
Yeah, yeah.
But by the laws of the Vulcan people, she couldn't just divorce him unless it was through the fight scene.
Yeah.
So her logic was to pick Captain Kirk, because if Kirk had been the victor, he wouldn't have wanted her anyway, and so she would have got Stan.
Yeah.
And even if Spock were the victor, he'd be gone because he's in Starfleet, and Stan would still be there.
Exactly.
So, of course, Dr. McCoy cheats and puts that paralyzer in that shot to save Captain Kirk from being killed from Spock for real. Because under the influence,
the Ponfar,
he would have killed Captain Kirk.
Yeah.
But that was interesting, and Spock's like, specify. Spock's like, why the challenge?
Exactly.
She's like, specify. Why you choose my captain?
Yeah, exactly.
So she goes to the explanation I gave you just now, and Spock's like, brilliant.
Yeah, logical.
She's like,
flawlessly logical.
She's like,
I'm honored.
I'm honored. So he looks at Stan. Stan, she's yours. But you may find that sometimes wanting may not be.
Yeah, the good thing is having is not as good a thing as wanting.
Yeah,
it is not logical, but it is often true. Yeah.
So anyway, that was a fun episode. Let's talk about some other Star Trek.
I loved Shore Leave. Do you remember that?
Yeah, that was the one with Alice in Wonderland.
Yes.
And what was interesting about that episode was whatever you thought of came to life. And it was being a race of beings that own this planet that can make your fantasies, and you can relive things and change history in a sense. Change everything and relive things. And Captain Kirk did not know that at first, and his team did not know that. They were just wondering why these things were appearing. But around the end of the episode, when the caretaker came out, he says, this is a perfect planet for shore leave. You just have to control your thoughts, and you can relive any moment. You can recreate any person. And they found out all that at the end. And Captain Kirk's like, stand by, crew. This is going to be one of the best shore leaves you'll ever have.
Yep.
But when they were discovering that was cool, because Dr. McCoy kept thinking about Alice in Wonderland.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And his girlfriend that was in that episode, she was thinking about Don Juan. So Don Juan shows up, he was like this womanizer, And Sulu was always thinking about the past relics of guns and stuff. He'd find a gun. Remember that scene? And Rodriguez was thinking about the tigers. All of a sudden these tigers would come.
Oh yeah.
And they always had that music.
Oh yeah.
So it's just whatever you thought of came to life. And of course, Captain Kirk and his girlfriend Ruth.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I wonder if you'd be able to live on that.
Finnegan, too.
Yeah, I wonder if you'd be able to live on that planet permanently or not. Because if I saw a planet like that, I wouldn't want to live there. I would want to just move there so I could create my life in a better way, in a different way that'd make me happy.
But see, the thing is, even the bad stuff wouldn't materialize if you thought something bad that was harmful.
Good point.
So if that were real, I wouldn't recommend living there.
That's a good point.
I would recommend just visiting maybe once or twice a year.
That's a good point. Yeah.
But as far as full time, I wouldn't recommend it, because the human thoughts go on all the time. You might think of a tarantula.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, this 10-foot tarantula comes after you.
That's a good point. That's a good point. Yeah.
So because you can't control your thoughts all the time.
That's true.
If that were real, I would not recommend living there. I would recommend.
That's a good point.
Vacation. Yeah, but that's just me.
That's a good point. Yeah.
But Star Trek was so fun. I'm gonna think of some other fun episodes. What about the Corbinite maneuver?
Yeah, that was a very interesting one.
Yeah.
Wasn't my favorite, but it was
The
interesting.
alien
Yes, yes.
was testing
Oh yeah, that was
the
interesting.
crew. So his alter ego was that egghead creature. I
Oh,
can't
yes.
remember the name that he used.
Yeah.
And the ship Polaris, I think was the name of it, and all
Uh-huh.
the stuff he put the Enterprise through
Oh,
testing
yeah.
them. And at the end, it's been a pleasure testing. you."
Yes,
Testing
interesting.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then there was a line in there about, well, you scanned our
Yeah.
you scanned our ship. You should have known we were friendly. And the alien says, yeah, but that could have been a deception.
Exactly.
Stuff like that. So that was a fun episode. And also when the one where they first introduced the Romulans.
That was a good one.
Balance of Terror.
Yes, that was a very good
That was
one.
a good one too. Let's see if I can remember how it goes.
I have a question. Was there ever one they introduced the Klingons? They should have done where they introduced
You
the
recognize
Klingons.
them,
Yes,
do
I
they?
do. Did they ever have an episode where they introduced the Klingons for the first time or not as an evil race or not? I can't
No,
remember.
on the Balance of Terror, that's when they first introduced the Romulans.
Yeah, but was there ever an episode in the old series where they introduced the Klingons
No,
for the first?
they didn't.
I
have that.
wonder.
It was just the Romulans, and the Romulans are an offshoot.
Yeah, of the Vulcans.
Klingons. Of the Vulcans, not the Klingons, the Vulcans.
But I think they should have had an episode where they introduced the Klingons for
They
the first
probably
time.
should have, but I don't think that.
Yeah, I don't think
Roddenberry
they-
thought of that at the time.
Yeah.
But his thinking for the Romulans, introducing the Romulans, I thought that was interesting.
It was.
Because it dealt with racism, if you think about it.
Yeah, it did. It was a very
that
good
guy
episode.
that
Yes.
worked on the bridge.
Yes,
Styles,
yes.
He was prejudiced against Vulcans when he found out that the Romulans looked like
Right,
the Vulcans
right.
because his family was killed by his his ancestors were killed by the original Romulans who were ruthless. So it had a little racial topic, and Captain
Yeah, it
Kirk's
did.
like, leave any bigotry you may have in
I
your
loved that.
quarters. There's no room for it on the bridge.
I loved that. Yeah.
And that still didn't work. And so then
Yeah.
it took Spock saving his life
Yeah.
before he stopped being prejudiced.
Mm-hmm.
You know, isn't that cool?
Yeah, that was a very good one. Plus, it had space battles, which I love.
It did,
You know.
yeah. They had a lot. And have you seen the remake of the Star Trek series?
No, I haven't.
When you stay over, that's what we're going to be watching.
Oh, wonderful.
What they did was, I don't know if I ever told you this story. They took the entire Star Trek series. They kept the music and, of course, the actors. You know, the way they were then.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing they did was they changed the effects. Remember how, like, when the Enterprise would fire a phaser, it was white?
Yeah.
Well, now these are like a dark red, purplish color and it looks more real. And where I'm going with this is, it looks more like Star Wars, the new effects that they put on the original Star Trek series. And Gene Roddenberry lived long enough to see that.
Oh, wait a
And
minute.
he
I have
said-
that.
He said, that's what I had in mind, but we didn't have the technology in the 60s back to do that. So he was very appreciative that they took the entire Star Trek series and changed it as far as the special effects.
I have that whole series on DVD because a friend of
Yeah,
mine for
the,
my birthday gave me that updated 60.
Right.
That, yeah, the whole
It's
series.
the
Yeah.
same series, same music, same everything. They just made the special effects
Yeah,
on the
exactly.
bridge a lot better.
Yeah.
And the explosions in space, everything. It's just. I'll show it all because I've got it.
Yeah,
on,
I've got it all on
the
DVD
entire
too. Yeah,
series.
the whole series on DVD now. It's wonderful.
Well, on the computer, I've got it on the computer on Netflix.
Okay,
all
cool.
you do is just put it on the screen and watch it.
Mhm.
And when one episode's over, it loads up for the next episode. It just goes. You can sit there and spend a whole evening
Oh yeah.
watching Star Trek, and I've got all 10 films too. So
I wonder, did you ever also like the Squire of Gothos? That was wonderful.
it was. You know, I think Liberace was meant to play that part originally, but with his concert schedule, he wasn't able to. This is what I'm understanding.
Yeah, but I
they
love
got
that
the actor-
episode.
Yeah, they got the actor to kind of get as close to Liberace. If you think about it, he was flamboyant. His
Yeah.
attire.
Yeah.
And the storyline was interesting. He was a child that
I know.
that did not know that humans die.
Yeah, or understood what it meant. Yeah, exactly. I
Because
just
he was
loved
a child,
it.
so his parents had to tell him at the end, "Hey, these creatures are not immortal like us. They die."
Exactly.
So that was an interesting episode.
Oh, I loved that episode. It was hilarious, and he was just funny, and I liked the.
Yeah, he was just a kid that didn't know any better.
Exactly.
Spoiled little kid.
It was hilarious.
Yeah.
I just loved
So-
it. Yeah.
And let's think of some other episodes that were fun to watch. The Trouble with Tribbles.
That I was gonna say, yeah, that was a great episode.
That was fun too. The Trouble with Tribbles.
I have a toy Tribble at home I got from Spokon, 1984. Yeah, all it does is squeak. It doesn't purr, but I have a toy Tribble at home.
Well, they probably couldn't get it to purr when they created it, but you know, you can use your imagination.
Yeah.
So.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I love that Tribble. I have it in my bedroom. Yeah.
But thanks to those Tribbles, they caught that Klingon spine.
Yeah, they did.
That spine looked human, but it was Klingon. He was poisoning the quadrotriticale.
Yep.
Grain. Everybody knew about quadrotriticale except for Cafe.
Yeah.
That was so funny. And so they were trying to figure out the mystery why these Tribbles would be in a compartment of grain, yet die from starvation.
Yeah.
They were eating. Yeah. Because that Klingon agent put that stuff into those grains.
Exactly.
So that even though the Tribbles would eat, they weren't getting their nutrition, so they would die.
Oh yeah, that was hilarious.
And all the Tribbles
that
fell.
was so funny.
But then it caused Captain Kirk and the investigative team to check it out. Why there was poison. Of course, Dr. McCoy figures it out.
Yeah.
And then they had that scene at the end where that human-looking Klingon, that poison brain, walks in there, and the Tribbles go, "Hey!"
Oh yeah.
You remember that?
Yes.
So Captain Kirk's like, "That's the guy that brought the Tribbles on the space station. That's strange.
Yeah.
They never act like that. Why are they doing that?"
Yeah, because they hate Klingons.
And it turned out, it said the last time a Tribble acted like that was when they were in front of a Klingon.
Yep.
So Captain Kirk figures it out. He puts it in front of Spock and he purrs. And he puts it in front of all his crew and even Mr. Harris, the guy that Captain Kirk didn't think was on the station. You know, he was just purring. And then of course he gets to that human-looking Klingon.
Yeah.
And then they play that Star Trek music. They don't like you, Mr. Barris. I wonder why. Bones?
Yeah.
Bones. Man, this man is a Klingon.
Yep.
He's like, I never saw those fuzzy little things, and I didn't want to see it again. And Mr. Barris says, well, we can arrange that. They arrest him, take him off to the authorities or whatever. That was an interesting episode.
Yeah.
I also liked the one with I don't know the name of the episode. Elena, Troy. The Troyan, the
Oh, that was a good one.
Yeah,
because it had space battles too.
Yeah, they did. Because the Klingons wanted that section of space because the Troyan lady.
Yes.
She remember that necklace she was wearing?
Yeah, it was all dilithium crystals.
It was like crystals. It was worth a lot, and that's why the Klingons wanted that section of space. But of course, the original mission, she was to go to the planet Troyes, I think, to marry the Troyan president so they can have a peace treaty in that part of the galaxy. But they had to go slow because they had to train her. She was savage at first.
Oh yeah, she was. Yeah.
They had to train her, and of course, when they're going at normal space speed, it's going to take them months to get to that planet.
Yeah.
And of course, there were some spies in her entourage. That's brilliant writing.
It is.
Like that one guy, I can't think of his name, Crichton.
Oh yeah.
He was in love with her, but he was also a spy. So he kills one of the guys in engineering, and then he rigs the ship to blow up the moment it goes into warp speed. So when the Klingons start messing with him, Captain Kirk's about to take the ship into warp, and Scotty figures it out before that happens. And so they have to fight this starship that's at warp speed when they're at space normal speed. And of course, the crystals around Helena Troy saves their lives. They use it as dilithium crystals, and of course they're not real crystals as far as the lithium crystals, but it had the same effect, and it would act a little different. But they were able to fight that Klingon off, and that was an interesting episode. I liked the plot line, but boy, she was a mean character, that Elation lady. I can't think of the name of the episode, but
nor can I. There was another one we've already talked about this episode, but one I loved that was hilarious. It was called The Naked Time.
Oh, I remember.
That was so funny. About died laughing. I was thinking about this dream last night. That was funny as heck.
Well, you remember originally how that started when Spock and that ensign was down on that planet.
Yes.
Says, make sure you don't expose yourself to anything. His nose started itching, so he took the glove off to scratch his nose.
Yes.
And instead of putting the glove back on, he leaves it off.
Yes.
And places it in that, when he was doing the investigation. Die frozen. And when he put his hand on that table, that little blood thing. His system. and it caused people to be like they were intoxicated.
Exactly.
And stuff like that, and that's what spread throughout the ship. And in his case, he died very quickly because he just didn't want to live anymore.
Exactly.
So he got his wish, but he was under the influence of that intoxication, and it affected everybody different.
Exactly.
On the ship. Like Nurse Chapel.
Oh,
she
yeah.
touches Spock. I love you, Mr. Spock.
Yeah.
He gets it. And of course, Captain Kirk got it when Kirk slaps. When Spock slaps Captain Kirk after Kirk was trying to snap him out of it. She's like, I never told my mother I loved her.
Yeah.
What's the matter with you, Mr. Spock? And he's like, you know how Captain Kirk is slapping his friend.
Oh yeah.
So finally, Spock had enough, and he smacks Captain Kirk across the room because he's a Vulcan. Under the influence, and then Kirk gets a disease that way. And of course, Sulu gets it because they were trying to stop that young ensign from taking his own life. It just spread throughout the whole ship, and so Riley turns the ship completely off, and it takes like a half hour to recharge the ship, and their orbit was decaying, so they needed 30 minutes, and they didn't have it because they were about to crash on that planet. It was just twisted.
Oh, wonderful, hilarious.
So they had to take a chance on breaking out of orbit, without the engines fully charged half hour. I've got to have 30 minutes. Yeah. It caused them to go into a time warp back in time. And that was the introduction of the time travel in that episode.
It was.
It was the
very good
introduction. And 45 minutes have gone by already. Yeah. And so those are just some key things in that Star Trek episode, like some first. Like the Romulans going back in time and all that.
Oh, it was wonderful. Fascinating.
Yeah.
Yeah, and absolutely fascinating.
Right. And let's see, let me think of some other fun episodes that they had. Yeah. If I can think of them off the top of my head, because I don't have a list.
There was one episode there were a few episodes I didn't like.
Well, there were some I didn't care for. Yeah. There were a lot I didn't care for.
Well, some were anti-religious, this wasn't exactly anti-religious. I liked it as a kid, but thing is, we all have original sin thanks to the fall of Adam. We wish we didn't. Yeah. We would be saints without original sin and the tendency to be angry and commit sin and the concupiscence to sin. Well, there was a malfunction in the transporter. Captain Kirk was split into two people.
I find
good
that episode
and
interesting.
Evil.
You know why?
Why?
I find that interesting because the dark side of Captain Kirk, in my judgment, and I don't think they were writing this episode that way. It's just the way I see it. I think the dark side of Captain Kirk represents the Adamic nature. They call it the sin nature.
That's the problem. Yes.
Now that wasn't written to be religious, but if you think about it, the dark side of Captain Kirk was lust, fear, greed, selfishness.
Yes.
All those, and because of the fall, technically we have those.
I know
tendencies.
The reason I didn't like it is because that dark side of original sin nature was necessary for Captain Kirk to be captain, and he couldn't even live without those two natures, which is wrong.
But you got to remember, I know, you and I, from a religious point, I understand that, but you got to remember, this is science fiction. They weren't writing it for a religious thing, so I know, but I can deal with that on that aspect of it, but it has some interesting characteristics.
Because we don't need greed, selfishness, anger. We don't need those things to be,
That you got to look in the context that that is what made Captain Kirk, even though he was able to control that. That's science fiction. Now we know from a religious point of view, you need the power of the Holy Spirit to live the Christian life for real. But this is science fiction. They weren't going off on a religious thing.
I know, but just for theologically, I thought it was terrible.
Well, okay, you're right. Theologically, but they weren't writing that episode from a theological point of view. So that's why I liked it, because that dark side represents every person if they don't control it in a sense.
Yes.
Maybe not from a theological point of view, but just being taught. Like if you're a child, if you don't teach that kid how to be polite and manners and moral, he's going to grow up like this Captain Kirk.
He is. That's the whole problem, since our wounded sin nature.
Yeah, but they weren't writing it with a theological point of view. But if you think about it, if you didn't train your child, no telling what he'd grow up to be.
Good point, yeah.
But I like that episode because it reminded me of what Asaph would be capable of.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
My parents didn't raise me properly.
Oh, yeah.
Or as a Christian, if you didn't
Oh, yeah.
Rely on the power of the Holy Spirit for real.
I don't even want to know what I would be like if I didn't have the power of the Holy Spirit
I
and
would
wasn't
be
born
just
again.
like
Yeah.
Because think what he did. Remember that scene on the ship? He attacks the yeoman.
Yes.
No thought of sorry and all that. And remember what he did to the crewman? He punched the crewman. And remember when he was just drinking?
Oh, yes.
Carousing on the ship. And remember that scene on the remember that scene on the bridge when Spock figures out, put him back, and he says, "We're going to put you back where you belong." He's like, "I want to live."
Yeah.
And Kirk's like, "You will live. You're not going to die." But he was so full of fear.
Yes.
And stuff like that. It just brought out, the good and the bad of people. Because if you think about it, even the nicest person.
Oh,
is
yeah,
capable of
absolutely
doing the most heinous
interesting.
thing. And this is from a theological point
Oh, it is
of view.
true. It is true. Yeah.
Even though they were not writing that episode, as I said, from a theological point of view, it made a lot of sense, both theological and non-theological, what people are capable of. Because I mean, I've done enough child care in my lifetime, and kids can be really snippy and snotty and disrespectful. And if you didn't train those kids when they're little,
Oh, yeah, definitely.
man, just think what they would grow up to be.
Yeah, yeah.
But I like that episode. I just thought it was interesting.
Yeah.
But that's just my take on it.
Any of the anti-religious ones there was
But
one.
that one I defend because that wasn't really anti-religious, really. I mean, they didn't write it with the intent of theology. It was just strictly good versus bad.
Yeah. There was this one episode where they went to this one paradise planet where this alien god, it was some sort of a machine that looked like a dragon, took care of them. They were the children of Vol. Vol was their holy god. I hated that one because it was anti-religious. Like, don't worship a god, don't worship a god. And finally they learned to be evil because that god machine was shut off, and they even...
Well, no. What it was is Vol taught those people how to kill. Mm-hmm. That's what changed them.
Yes.
Remember that scene when... and they were innocent. They didn't know what murder was in that culture until Vol.
Yes.
And the only reason why Vol taught them to kill was because Vol did not like Captain Kirk and his crew being on that planet in the first place.
Yeah.
These people were innocent.
Yeah.
They didn't even know what love was.
Yeah, they did not have any procreation or anything.
Yeah, no, they were just totally innocent, but they were controlled by Vol. They didn't know that Vol was really a computer, where Spock figured it out because Spock's into computers. So I found that interesting because it taught these people to develop their culture on their own without the assistance of this computer pretending to be a ruler or god or whatever. See, they had to correct that and write that. So that didn't bother me because it was not the culture; it was that machine. Just like that other episode, Landrew.
I hated that one too because it was irreligious. It was Thing is, the moral was, don't let a god control you. Don't worship Jesus. Evolve on your own and procreate and do things your way. Don't do things God's way.
But see,
God is ruling you.
That's not what they were implying.
I thought it was.
From
a theological thing.
I'm with you. With a theological point, it's bad. But see, when they wrote those episodes, they were not thinking theologically.
I thought they were. I thought the moral was, don't believe in a God. We're against God. We're against...
Landrew was an evil computer.
Yeah.
He was a computer. See, the real Landrew died 6,000 years earlier. So this computer was what was left. And what it was is when Landrew created the computer originally 6,000 years ago, it was a benevolent computer to keep Landrew's legacy. But you know how TV shows are.
Oh, yeah.
When they leave something behind and they're in power, they start turning evil. That's what that was about. And Landrew was this computer that had long life because he was just a computer. And he turned evil. And that's what caused him to change that culture. That was not Landrew's original plan. And of course Captain Kirk figures it out that the computer had turned evil. That's why they wiped it out and taught these people in that culture, like Vol's culture, to do your own culture and worship or whatever. Raise your children properly, not evil or under control of one. That's what the episodes are about. But it just had some religious overtones. So
that's
I
the whole
can see where the religious people from a theological point could be a little uncomfortable, but it didn't bother me because it was not they were not trying to make a theological point.
I thought they were.
No, they weren't. It was just a cultural thing, but it had some overtones, and that's why.
Same with that horrible episode, The World is Hollow and I Have Touched the Sky. That was the name of it. They saw this alien planet and...
All right, I'll defend that too. That's no different than the Landru and the other. Because, see, what it was is 10,000 years ago, their planet was going to be destroyed. So they wanted to preserve their culture. So they selected a few people from the original culture 10,000 years earlier. They put them on an asteroid that was going to take them to their promised planet.
Like the promised land of heaven, or like the
Israelites. No, it
wasn't
wasn't heaven. It was just they were going to preserve that culture. But what happened was the computer...
The Oracle, yes.
Yeah, the computer, like all the other two episodes, turned bad, and plus the computer all of a sudden went off course. And it was on a collision planet unintentionally with another planet. And so when Captain Kirk goes to that world, that computer had turned bad, just like the other two computers in the other episodes, because it's been around for so long. And that's what that was about. So Captain Kirk had to correct that culture, which he does, and correct the course so that these people could go to their original promised planet and preserve that culture from 10,000 years ago. That's what that episode was about.
Yeah, but there was the book of the Word that was never read.
Because what it was originally was to help preserve that culture and their medical...
But wasn't it a symbol of the Bible?
No.
And wasn't the Oracle a symbol of God?
No, they had a book... with their solar system in the book. That's what the original thing, but when that computer turned bad, he used it for his own advantage.
Just like the Catholic Church would use the book of the Word to its own advantage. Therefore, don't be Catholic, don't be a Christian.
But see, they were not attacking Catholics. They were just... This computer was just trying to control that culture, like
God would control the Christian people.
But see, it was just because the computer turned bad. Because remember the rule: if you went up on the mountain, you would realize you were on a spaceship.
Because you weren't supposed to know the real knowledge that there is no God or something like that.
The computer turned evil.
Yeah,
that's all it was.
I just thought it was all against God theologically.
No, it's not against God. The computer was just taking control over the culture. So when Captain Kirk wipes out that computer and sets them on their course to their new planet, it preserved their culture.
Interesting.
And that book was just information from 10,000 years earlier so that those descendants could learn about where they came from, and those little planet things was just their solar system that was destroyed. So these people had a chance to learn that because the Oracle kept them from the book and took over and changed things. It was not the people, it was not the episode, it was just that computer.
Interesting.
So those other episodes, when they destroyed those computers, it righted the wrong, it set the culture correct. And at the end of it, they were sent to their promised planet to preserve that, and then a year later, even though you don't see it, Dr. McCoy gets to see Tira, the girl that they fell in love with. He fell in love with. And so, so that was just interesting writing. It's brilliant science fiction from a science fiction point of view. They weren't.
I thought it was
No. They weren't being religious. If you have to look at the context, it's the computer that went bad, not the race.
Because I thought it was a symbol of God. These computers are a symbol of God
that
in Jesus.
Symbol represent their solar system from 10,000 years earlier, so that these people would know where they came from if they were going to their promised planet. They had to know that to teach their children, their future descendants. That's all it was. It's like anything else. When something good comes along, bad's going to always try to get in there and change things. Like the computers, when the computers first came out. Or the dating services when that first came out. Interesting. Stuff like that.
Yeah.
And on that note, we are out of time.
Because I wanted to talk about another episode I didn't like. But
what was that?
Just briefly, it was against happiness and against joy. It was a story about they went to this planet that was going to be destroyed anyway, supernova or something. There were these beautiful daffodils that would have these spores to make people happy.
Let me explain that. That was not religious.
It wasn't religious, but it was against happiness.
No.
Captain Kirk destroyed their happiness and said, you can't be happy.
No, that's not what it was. What it was is the original mission of the people that left the planet Earth was to go to that planet that they were on. but they didn't know that those
Beautiful spores that make you
those
happy.
spores, they didn't know that that planet was contaminated when they first went there. That planet was contaminated with these delta rays that killed humans. But when they got exposed to the spores from the planet, it changed everything, and and even though it was paradise, it caused mankind to be lazy and not want to accomplish anything.
But they were happy.
Yeah,
they were happy.
But see, they were on a poisonous planet.
I see.
So they could not live there originally.
Just bring the spores with
under
them to another planet where they can be happy. Happiness is wonderful.
Yeah, it is, but they were not attacking happiness. It was because the planet was contaminated. It was poisonous because all the dogs died, all the cats died, all the insects, all the animals, all the cows, they all died because the spores didn't help them. It only helped humans. But one good thing is, if you got under the influence of the spores, if you left that world, whatever physical ailment you had, you were whole. So that was cool. But no, they couldn't live there because without the exposure of the spores, they would die because that was a poisonous planet. So that's why Captain Kirk had to fix that. It wasn't against happiness. It wasn't against paradise. People die. You die on that planet if you
at least you die happy, you know.
Well, no, you die until you get exposed to the spores. And it made your body whole. But the other side is, you didn't do anything. You didn't accomplish anything.
But everyone was happy.
Yeah, but you didn't work. And that's not what real paradise is, where you don't do anything. Even in heaven, we're going to be doing work.
We're not going to be working. We're not going to be working.
Toil, but there will be fun things in heaven to do. We're not going to be sitting there strumming harps in heaven.
Yeah, but we'll be sitting there drinking alcohol all day long, looking at the grass grow. That's what I'll be doing.
Well, God's got, if you read the Revelation and stuff, there's going to be some fun things that you're going to get to do. Serving God.
Yeah, well, that's prayer, that's worshiping God, that's not work.
But
prayer and worshiping God is not work.
God may send you off to Alpha Centauri, for example, doing some fun thing.
Yeah.
The Bible doesn't say that.
But that's not work. That's not toil, like digging
we'll be
things.
Doing service for God, but it won't
Service
be...
isn't work.
Yeah,
service for God isn't work.
Yeah, but it won't be that kind of work like here where it's physical and tiring because you're going to be in a new body anyway, so you're not going to tire. But we're going to have to save that for another topic because we're literally out of time. You got any final words?
There were these two washing machines, and they saw a hat in their way. One said to the other, "Is that in your way?" The other said, "No, it's in your way and it's blocking my view." Ha ha! Wasn't that hilarious?
Yeah.
They did a sequel to the Naked Time called Naked Now. That was Star Trek: The Next Generation. The same type of thing, the same planet, the same type of thing, the same infection. It wasn't very good. The crew people of the new Enterprise just acted drunk and stumbling around.
Okay, I didn't see
it wasn't
that.
very funny.
I didn't see that episode. We'll have to save that for another time. But isn't that a beautiful backdrop?
Yeah, it is.
This is the most different backdrop we've ever had.
Yep.
So we did this. Scott and I planned this for you. And
Thanks.
on that note, we're going to have to stop. So affectionately on my left, our aging rocket Emmett, and for his sake, since he likes science fiction lasers, we put ourselves behind the phaser gun. You guys know phaser of Star Trek. And I am your host, Asaph Cafe, and on my left, our aging rocket Emmett. And until our next show, Maranatha.
And thank you, Lord, for helping me not to have allergies. Thank you, Lord.
There you go. So that was fun. And thank you, Lord Jesus, for this episode.
Oh, yeah.
It was a lot of fun.
Yep.
Okay. Can we shut it down?